You learned early that emotions are dangerous, not because someone explicitly told you, but because every time you leaned too far into closeness, it cost you. And every time you showed too much strength, it provoked resentment. So you adapted, quietly, strategically. You became careful, measured, unreadable. You discovered something subtle but powerful. Neutrality keeps you safe. If they don't love you, they can't control you. If they don't hate you, they won't try to destroy you. And for a while, it worked. You moved through rooms without causing ripples. You learned how to manage impressions, how to stay relevant but not threatening, present but not exposed. You survived by staying just outside the emotional extremes. This is the paradox. The very strategy that protected you from rejection is now preventing you from being known. The emotional invisibility that once ensured safety has slowly become a prison. This is Machiavelli's rule, but not as a political tactic, as a psychological survival mechanism. Never be loved or hated sounds like wisdom for rulers, but for many people, it becomes a lifelong internal policy, a way of existing in the world without ever fully arriving. And the cost? Loneliness that doesn't scream. Isolation that looks like independence. Power that feels hollow. Machiavelli understood something brutally honest about human nature. People are volatile. Love turns into expectation. Hate turns into vengeance. Both make you vulnerable. Psychologically, this maps onto what we call avoidant attachment. Avoidant attachment isn't about not needing people. It's about learning, often early, that closeness is unstable. That reliance invites disappointment. That emotional intensity equals risk. So the nervous system adapts. Instead of seeking connection, it seeks control. Instead of intimacy, it chooses predictability. Another layer here is emotional self-regulation through detachment. You don't calm yourself by being held. You calm yourself by pulling away, by observing rather than participating. Neurologically, this rewires the brain's threat detection system. The amygdala becomes finely tuned to social danger, tone shifts, power dynamics, subtle dominance games. You become hyper-aware, hyper-rational, hyper-strategic. This is hypervigilance, but not the anxious kind. It's the cold, intellectual kind. You don't panic. You calculate. And over time, this creates what psychologists call defensive individuation, a sense of self built not around desire, but around protection. You are not who you want to be. You are who it is safest to be. Here's the grief no one talks about. When you refuse to be loved or hated, you also refuse to be felt. You become respected, but not cherished. Admired, but not missed. Trusted, but not leaned on. And slowly, something erodes. Your spontaneity, your softness, your permission to need. Carl Jung once suggested that whatever we deny in ourselves does not disappear. It waits. It waits in the shadow. The shadow here is authentic longing. You long to be chosen without calculation, to be embraced without strategy, to be known without managing the outcome. But the core fear is powerful. If I let myself be loved, I will owe. If I let myself be hated, I will be targeted. So you choose neither. And that choice extracts a quiet tax. Moments of joy feel incomplete. Achievements feel strangely empty. Relationships feel functional. This is the sacrifice of authenticity for safety. And it turns life into a chessboard. Every move considered, no piece ever fully alive. This strategy doesn't disappear in adulthood. It matures. You might notice it here. In relationships, you keep emotional temperature moderate. You don't fight hard. You don't fall hard. You leave partners feeling oddly distant, like they know you, but not deeply. In conflict, you avoid being the villain or the hero. You choose neutrality, even when something matters deeply to you. At work, you are competent, composed, unthreatening. You rarely inspire devotion or opposition. You stay indispensable, but replaceable. With boundaries, you set them intellectually, not emotionally. You explain instead of feel. You withdraw instead of confront. Internally, you feel calm but numb, safe but understimulated, in control but disconnected. With yourself, you mistake self-containment for self-mastery. These are not personality traits. They are coping strategies. And healing doesn't begin with changing them. It begins with witnessing them. Witnessing the moment you go neutral instead of honest. Witnessing the reflex to minimize instead of risk. Witnessing the old belief, visibility equals danger. This is the unlearning, not forcing vulnerability, but allowing choice where there was once reflex. Healing does not mean becoming reckless with emotion. It means becoming selectively sincere. It means practicing inner child reparenting, offering the parts of you that learn silence a new experience, safety without disappearance. It means shadow work, reclaiming the parts of you that can be adored and disliked, and surviving both. You learn to tolerate intensity, to let someone love you without calculating the cost, to let someone misunderstand you without retreating. Not everywhere, not with everyone, but somewhere, with someone, with yourself. The goal is not to be loved by all or hated by none. The goal is to be real enough to feel alive, because power without connection is empty, and safety without intimacy is a slow kind of loneliness. You were never meant to disappear to survive. You were meant to choose where you are seen. And when you do, that is not weakness. That is sovereignty. If this resonated, share it with someone who learned to stay neutral, to stay safe. And remember, you are not broken. You adapted brilliantly. Now, you get to become whole.